Live. We do it live now? All right. Welcome to Wednesday's service, the Church of Korihor. You know I love you. We're going to get started here as we let people kind of filter in. You know, we talked before about the last 5 minutes before a church starts, so they call it the Mormon Miracle. Well, we're having the Korihor catastrophe. I'm going to show you guys a couple of videos today. We're going to have possibly an impromptu interview with a friend of mine. I'm very excited about if Kurt can join us. Otherwise, you know, it was kind of last minute. So last week's interview for Church for Atheists, we had to postpone because our guest, Carl Moore, who runs the Unsheltered program that does the all-night movie nights, got called into work because it's a cold snap and they could actually, the church opened up its doors. This is St. Mark's Cathedral, and let them use the floor to get people, the floor of their sanctuary to get people in out of the cold. I'm going to show you a video because I told Carl, I said, Carl, I don't have any blankets, made yet, but I can go to our neighbors and get them. So we posted, and I'm going to show you the video, quick 3-minute video of us doing that. But first, we're gonna sing. That's right. Church of Korihor's got hymns, and we've got some new ones. I want to share with you guys a new hymn called Unholy, and it's one of my favorites. It's one of the first ones I wrote. So enjoy Unholy. Everybody sing.
Unholy, I am unholy, full of unvirtuous, rambunctious, and perverted thoughts. Unholy, I am unholy, I am a rebellious asshole. I should be locked up on the spot. Fascists overthrew it for God. Unholy, I am unholy. I even eat meat, though it's murder 'cause I like it a lot. But I'm trying, oh I'm trying to become better, though I suck at it, that makes me better than God.
Where does it rank between O Korihor, which seems to be the least popular, and either Licked Cupcake or More Money Than God? Great job, Jules. Guys, Jules, one of our newest converts, our first convert to Korihorism, has been out there discovering that they, veterans especially, that are unhoused out there in Albuquerque, they've been distributing them beanies because you lose most of the heat through your head. And I'm like, crap, man, this is why we need Jules. This is why I need women in this movement, because I think of things I don't think of. We got thinkers. We got thinkers in this movement, man. That's why we need women like Jules. So in a moment, I'm going to show you guys our video from Rapture yesterday. we started putting blankets around our unhoused neighbors here in Utah. Then I'm going to make a couple of announcements, and we're going to play another hymn. You got our other hymn, Virtue Signal. It's going to be great. Everybody, welcome to Wednesday service. StreamYard link is in the description. Anybody who wants to come and witness to Korihorism or debate with the First Herald, I pity a fool. I pity a fool. I do. Or if you want to take the oath of reason, we're doing it. You guys, this whole thing is going to kick off. We're going to talk a little bit about luminaries. So right now we're going to show you the video from the work. I want you guys to see this work. You know, I've been arguing with Mormons for a little over a week about how they don't think our work is real. Hey, Rio, how you doing, man? Cool. You gonna make us some quilts? I mean, that's a big job for going out on the streets. You know, they mainly want blankets that are used, but man, we'll take what we get. I mean, that would be a big sacrifice if you're gonna make quilts. Anyways, let's watch this video. You guys, somebody donate the Church of Korihor a van. I'm laughing, but I ain't joking. We can't fit all the blankets in this little itty bitty car.
Yep.
Okay. This is January 14th. Is that right, Elijah?
Yep.
We are here at St. Mark's Cathedral in Salt Lake City. They just started letting unsheltered neighbors of ours in out of the cold. Here at this church, which is less than about a city block away from the LDS temple, the six-spire temple that everybody knows. We have all this. Show us some blankets there, Elijah. We got blankets that were donated by our neighbors here in Utah, down in Utah County. We haven't yet we just placed our first order for the fabric, for blankets, and our neighbors have opened up their hearts. And they have given up blankets. I've been talking to one of the organizers. His name is Carl. He's a good man. I asked him last night. He was live streamed from here while they're doing all night movie night. They can't open up as a warming center technically. And so this church is taking ordinary Hollywood films and projecting them onto the wall. And so that they can have all night movie night, so that legally they can get people in out of the cold and save their lives. I asked him, what about blankets, Carl? And he said to me, Joe, it's the people we can't let in, because there literally is a line wrapped around the building right now. I want people to see that the work is happening. We are doing this, and this is not a joke. We are for real. St. Mark's Episcopal is one of the few good ones here in Utah. We're grateful for them, and they are doing Christian work and Christ-like work, and that's a rare compliment for me.
Just for me, this is all of our neighbors.
Thank you, neighbors.
Thank you guys. I love
God
you guys.
bless you.
I love you too, baby girl.
You guys are
How you doing?
neighbors.
You guys are good people. You guys are good people.
Thank you.
Hey guys, you good?
Get you a couple of them.
Oh God, thank you.
Blink, I have more over here to choose from, so. Blink,
I need a bigger one than that, I think.
come on over here.
Is it?
That's it.
Yeah, I think I do it. Appreciate it. No problem. Thank you. See the blanket over here?
Yes, please. Oh my God, you have that one, the red one? Or do you want, which one do you want?
And that is all of our blankets. That's why we need more. Our goal is to make 300 blankets, gather 300 more before March. Frankly, we may have to increase it. Hey, you guys, stay warm out there, okay? Have to unmute the microphone. Took all of maybe an hour and a half to drive to the homes of people who had donated blankets. Took about an hour to drive up to Salt Lake and about 45 minutes up to Salt Lake, 45 minutes back. It's about 5 minutes distributing those blankets. We got out maybe 20 blankets wrapped around people standing around that building. And for every blanket we put around a pair of shoulders up there last night, there were at least 4 or 5 more that we didn't have enough blankets for. And that's why I am so grateful that earlier this week, Aaron Ra, one of the most notorious atheists on the planet right now, had me on his program, the Ramen podcast. And it went really well. He felt good about it. I felt good about it. And people have been giving me compliments about that appearance, even though I didn't really do much different than what I normally do, you guys. But the difference is that I did it to an audience of his channel, which is over 300,000 subscribers. Since that happened, we have had a steady trickle of donations at Korihor.org. People coming in and giving money to help us save lives. And we still are trying to put the Luminary program together, make sure that we get everything, in order in terms of the legal stuff. Basically, luminaries are our missionaries. Like if I, as a herald, am like an apostle, and directors are like our elders, if you will. Luminaries are our missionaries, only instead of knocking on people's doors and annoying them, though I may actually go out and start doing that here in Utah. Just be like, knock on the door. It's like, have you heard the good news of atheism? Oh, well, it's pretty quick. There's no God. So can we talk about blankets? And go out and spread the good word of Korihorism, which is, you can join this church, but if you don't want to, that's cool. We don't want you. You have to be pretty cool to be a Korihor. That's all there is to it. I want to share with you guys another hymn before we get going here, but I do want to tell you that the Church of Korihor is currently considering putting together a new mission similar to the Rapture 2025, or maybe expanding Rapture 2025. Don't know if you guys have heard about this, but California is on fire. And there are a lot of people displaced, and they have needs. And some of them need, some of that is blankets, but a lot of it's going to be things like beanies, which, Jules is looking into us for Albuquerque. We're going to contact the company and see if we can get how many of them we can get. The manufacturers can get us. Maybe we can get some out to California as well. And we're looking for people to take is Joanne's filing for bankruptcy? Oh, maybe there will be. Oh, so we raised $200 worth of donations since we launched the donation link. It's not huge, but we've launched now I think we're over $300. But $200 since that ramen podcast on Monday. And yesterday I placed an order for 30 yards of polar fleece. I got blue. This one's black. This is the Eddie Bauer brand one that I got. This $20 a yard here at Joanne's across the street from me. I got basically the same stuff at $5 a yard, ordering it online direct from the manufacturer. So where that should be coming in, it'll be almost February by the time we actually get it. But until then, I'm going to be out there going to my neighbors here in Utah and asking them to give up old blankets. Every day I go into a heart station where I used to work the graveyard shift trying to save up money. That went real fast. There's this group of retirees who meet up there every morning, like 5 a.m. and just hang out there because they haven't got anything else to do. And all of them want to donate blankets. So we're going to keep going. We just keep going. Shall we listen to another hymn? This hymn was inspired by my conversations with Maven more than anything else about performative allyship. and how we have to be able to laugh at ourselves as Korihors. That's part of intellectual honesty. So here's a little reminder that the Korihors are giving to ourselves, that we need to watch ourselves, that our being allies is about doing the work. It's about love. It's about doing it for the right reasons and not just as a statement of fashion. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I think it's hilarious. This is Virtue Signal.
Got the hashtag on rotation. Look at you making a sensation. Online warrior in disguise. Just enough to get the likes. Sharing memes and changing filters, while the world's still on its tilters. Words flow easy from that phone, but action stays behind the throne. Virtue signal loud and clear. A hero in your cybersphere. Change your profile pic tonight. Save the world with just one like. Look so woke in your new stance. Took a selfie at the protest dance. Talk a lot but do so little. Playing big but stuck in the middle. Activism made so simple. Just add a trending symbol. Tell the world that you care. If it's easy, you're already there. Virtue signal loud and clear. A hero in your cybersphere. Change your profile pic tonight. Save the world with just one like.
Okay, once again, a reminder that everybody that we have on the description of this video links to all the videos you've seen here today. So both of the new hymns, Unholy and also Virtue Signal, and the new Rapture 2025 video. So you could go out, share them with the world, tell people Korihor.org is there. They can donate to help us save lives, and they're welcome to learn more about us. And please follow. Make sure everybody knows. Follow, because we're going to be doing some amazing things. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Luminary program. So we're working on the back end of the Luminary program. I've been trying to come up with a good, solid way. Hey, Gene. With a solid way for us to allow luminaries, that's our missionaries / ordinance workers, if you will, our ritual workers, to be able to contribute ideas on how to do the rituals and how to perform rituals and how to do things like fundraise and things like this, and get more get more donations, get more work, and get more rituals done out there. So we're going to be basically all of the rituals that we're going to be doing in the future are going to be customized, kind of like, think of it like a wedding. So a chrysalis will be kind of like that. It's like there'll be a template, but then you can modify that template however you want and things like that. And so people will be able to get on. Cool. Link that Zeffy page. Yeah, absolutely. You guys know that we use Zeffy to fundraise. Zeffy is an amazing nonprofit that covers all of our fees, so that 100 pennies of every dollar that gets donated goes to the actual work. You guys, I said we were going to fail, but I don't know anymore. I said we would fail forward, but we're kind of like killing it right now. There's a possibility. Okay, I'm just going to say this to you guys. I don't know if this is going to work. I pulled this hard drive, which I probably shouldn't be handling without static protection, out of an old computer, an old Mac. I believe, I can't be 100% certain, but I believe that in this hard drive is the recording of my excommunication from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure it's on here. So I don't know if it'll be that or if it'll be something else, but I have loaded out 2 Mormon stories, John DeLynne's Mormon stories, that I would be happy to come up to John's studio sometime in the next couple of weeks if they can fit me in, and talk about the Church of Korihor and talk about my experience, talk about the Korihor argument, just about anything that they want. Also, there's a group, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zion Media. I have put out a challenge to them. They're trying to organize a debate about Joseph Smith's polygamy. They're of the opinion, this is Shane, I forget his last name, they call him the Mormon Wolf of Wall Street. And they have this theory. They have this theory that Joseph Smith was a reluctant polygamist, and that somebody else in the church, maybe Brigham Young, had convinced him to do it, to engage in polygamy, but at the end he renounced it before Carthage. And I'm like, okay, I already wiped the floor with Jacob Isbell once on this with the Nauvoo Expositor, and they're talking about having Denver Snuffer come in to give this position on it. And I was like, no, not Larson. No. John Larson? You talking about John? No, not John Larson. No. Shane. Shane. Oh, is his last name Larson? I don't remember. The Wolf of Wall Street guy, the Mormon Wolf of Wall Street guy. Oh, I got your email. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get caught up on things. It's been crazy busy. I did get your email. I'm working on it. We're gonna get caught up, but this is cool. But I left a message on there, and I have talked to him before. I think I've talked to Shane. I'm not sure who it was that I did talk to. It's somebody at their channel, and they're interested in the possibility of having me in for a debate. And I said, let's do it. I'm in. I said, listen, I'm not an attorney. They want to do it like a mock trial. And I said, look, I'm not an attorney, but I know how to do it. I know how to do exactly what you're talking about. And, Denver Snuffer actually is an attorney. I'm like, I don't care. I'll do it. I'll debate anybody on this. Joseph Smith was a polygamist. He was a willing polygamist. I got the goods. So, anyways, that may happen. So, thought you guys would find that kind of cool. I don't know if Kurt's going to be able to make it to join us. I did tell him that it wasn't a big deal if he couldn't get in here right now. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I was thinking maybe we would take a request right now for other hymns. Anybody want to hear a different hymn? Yeah, throw us in some votes in the comments here, guys. Which one did you like? Did you like Virtue Signal or Unholy? Anybody in here not get into the live early enough to hear Unholy? Because that one's so good. It's one of my faves. Any votes for O Korihor? We're Going Home. Does anybody want to watch the We're Going Home video again? We haven't done that since Sunday. I've been watching it every day. We got one person, one vote for Unholy. Anybody else? Any calls for a licked cupcake? It'll be the first broadcast so far. We haven't had requests for a lick my cupcake. All right, We're Going Home. Do Unholy. Hey, It's my flesh and blood sister, also chosen family. More money than God? Okay. All right. Let's do some hymns. Let's get these Korihors to sing. Let's do Snake Wife. Gene, you crack me up, man. I'd keep you around just for the jokes. Let's replay Unholy.
Unholy, I am unholy, full of unvirtuous, rambunctious, and perverted thoughts. Unholy, I am unholy, I am a rebellious asshole. I should be locked up on the spot. Support the state, knowing fascists overthrew it for God. Unholy, I am unholy. I even eat meat, though it's murder 'cause I like it a lot. But I'm trying, oh I'm trying to become better, though I suck at it. That makes me better than God. Unholy, I am unholy, full of rebellious, rambunctious, and perverted thoughts. Unholy, I am unholy, I am a rebellious asshole. I should be locked up on the spot. That makes me better than God.
Home. I want to tell you the story of the Korihor sigil, or the Koaz. That's the symbol of the Church of Korihor. Now, we're a church for godless people, so it's probably no surprise that this story, it's kind of geeky. In April 1970, Apollo 13 was on the third mission to land on the moon. But 2 days into the journey, an oxygen tank in their service module exploded, crippling the spacecraft and leaving astronauts Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Hayes in a desperate fight to get home alive. They had to shut down most of the electronics on their spacecraft, including the guidance computer that charted their way home. But on their way back toward Earth, they discovered that they were coming in too shallow and too fast. Unless they corrected course and slowed down, they would bounce off the Earth's atmosphere into space, where they surely would die. They figured that they could manually fire the lunar module's engine, but they would only have 14 seconds of fuel. Now, if you're going to be stuck in outer space without a guidance computer, the guy you want with you is Jim Lovell. When Lovell was the command module pilot on Apollo 8, Mission Control had him rehearse this exact scenario. Astronaut means sailor of the stars, but really every sailor is an astronaut, because one of humanity's greatest instruments has been the sextant, an instrument to judge your place by measuring your placement to the stars. Well, the Apollo 13 service module had a modern version of a sextant built into it. And Jim Lovell was the first man in space to navigate to the moon and back, at least partly, with only the stars to go by. But Apollo 13 had a problem that Apollo 8 did not. Debris from the explosion obscured Lovell's view so that he couldn't see the stars through the sextant. This is where it would be easy to give up. The crew of Aquarius could blame Houston, Houston could blame them. They could despair and shut down. But none of those options were a way home. That's when Jim Lovell came up with a pretty innovative idea, the Crewman Optical Alignment Sight, or COAS. Now the COAS is basically like the crosshairs of a rifle scope, designed to align the two parts of the spacecraft while they were docking. Now Lovell fixed that bullseye instead on the only fixed point in space that he could see through the lunar module window, Earth. They chose the Earth's terminator line, the line between the day and night sides of the Earth, as the reference point, keeping the Earth's terminator line lined up in the COAS, with Jim controlling the yaw and the burn and Fred manning the pitch and Jack timing the burn on his watch. They fired the engines and corrected that angle in 14 seconds.
Guide me by morning light, keeping home in my sight. With doubts and dreams take flight. We flash in the dark, so let's flash bright. On a mission to save ourselves, break with dogma, with these shells. My friend, if you choose to be free, I'll light your path if you'll walk with me. We're going home to where we'll find a world where life is worth the climb. One day we will crash and we will die. Oh, my friends, that's not tonight.
I remember when Apollo 13, the movie, came out, Tom Hanks says to Bill Paxton and Kevin Bacon, 0 Degrees, "Gentlemen, what are your intentions?" "I'd like to go home. You and I are living in an emergency. We can't see the stars, and our guidance computer isn't working. We have to line up the real world in the COAS. We have to use courage. We have to use tenacity and innovation. We're going to have to science the shit out of this if we're going to make a world that we want to live in. And to do that, you need godless people. This is our time. This is the time when we need atheists and agnostics to get religion, but instead of a religion about God, we need a religion about us. We are our saviors. This is our time."
No more shadows in our mind. Leave the fears and past behind. On this pale blue dot, we will make our stand. Light within, we will be our hands. We're going home to where we'll find a world where life is worth the climb. One day we will crash and we will die. Oh, my friends, that's not tonight. Come on, science, our path is clear. Strangers once, our re-entry nears. Sighting land, we'll quit this sea. I'm going home. Who will come with me?
I'll fail. I'll start again. I'm looking for people who have the courage to fail with me until we find all the ways to fail, or by some stroke of luck, we go home. Amen.
By math and science, our path is clear. Strangers once, our re-entry nears. Sighting land, we'll quit this sea. I'm going home. Who will come with with me.
I gotta unmute myself. Every time somebody tells me that the Church of Korihor is a joke, I think I'm gonna send them that fucking video, man. You guys, we are very, very fortunate today to have my friend Kurt Manwaring in the house. Kurt and I have I don't know that we've ever met in person, maybe once or twice, but years ago. I've known Kurt for years. But Kurt, I had talked to him frequently. He and I actually got into a really deep conversation one time about autism. He's ADHD like me. I hope he doesn't mind my mentioning that. I don't know that I cleared that with him. But he's also we were talking about, I'm like, Kurt, like the police in this country are just, especially here in Utah, they're terrible in the way that they treat people who are autistic and on the spectrum. And I'm like, it's like we're legal to exist. And Kurt's like, it was like, you're kidding me, right? To see, my friend Kurt is blind. And he's like, it's so much worse with people who are differently abled. And he said, I get cops who'll just pull up and harass me on the street. And I was like, you're kidding me. And he's like, no. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, they're just, this is just a normal fact of life. And it's like they're annoyed at our very existence. And I was like, golly, man, I don't think any of us really understand what life is like for people who are, for example, who have hearing difficulties, people who can't see, people who, have mobility difficulties, And so I told Kurt, I said, we need education on this, man. And I was saying to him, about Church for Atheists, which is our series, where we interview people who know more than I do to educate me. And I said, I would love it if you would come on and talk to us about how can Church for Atheists do accessibility for the differently abled better than God churches. And Kurt is on with us right now in the studio. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. And
hello,
Kurt, how are you? Hey,
Good,
Kurt,
good.
how's it going?
Good, really good. How do I sound? Are my audio levels okay?
Your audio is great and your picture is very good, sir. So
Cool.
thank you for
Chromebook.
That's cool. That's cool, man. How you been?
I've been good. Man, first of all, nice to finally hear your voice and have kind of a voice to go with the online presence, because I know we go way back online.
Yeah. We have to get together in person so that you can see my face.
Yeah.
Because that would be good. That'd be good for us for you to get a little. I know what your face looks like, and you don't know what mine looks like. That's unfair.
Yeah.
So, when we were talking a couple of days ago, you were saying that the Church of Jesus Christ, because you're Exmo, right? Are you out of the church? Are you resigned? Are you Jackmo?
My name is still in, and I just haven't really done anything with it. But I mean, I don't believe I don't attend. I'm drinking a beer right now, and have my nicotine patches in my mouth.
Okay.
To deal with the other vices, right? It's just a cycle.
Right. Yeah, my favorite was when you told me just like an hour ago, you're like, Joe, don't get started on Adderall. And I was like, are you kidding me? I've been 3 weeks off my Adderall, and everybody in the Church of Korihor knows about it.
I've been there. It's the
withdrawal.
That one is such a double-edged sword for me.
Yeah. I'm still at the lowest. I think I'm at the lowest possible prescribed dose, but I tell you, it's been a revelation for me. I don't know how I functioned before. I I tell people this church runs on amphetamines. But I had to, dude, Kurt, could you have ever guessed that you've known me for years, atheist, exmo, that I would start a church? I mean, come on.
No, and not only that, but that it would be a serious church. You know, I could have seen you from, just our talks online, maybe doing like, I don't know, a Flag Spaghetti Monster rebrand or something. The Church of the Golden Unicorn or whatever, but like as a satire. But
right.
It doesn't seem like that's what this is, at least not mostly.
What convinced you that it's serious so far?
Well, the fact that you sent me a song that you wrote with the help of our dear friend Generative AI, which I love. I love doing that.
Yeah. Suno may be doing more to build up the kingdom of Korihor than anybody else right now. We should play before we get done today, guys. Do you think we should play "Lick My Cupcake" for Kurt? I think he would.
Oh my
it.
gosh!
Did I send you that one? Which one did I send you?
No, you did not.
I think I sent you "More Money Than God." Is it?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's
More
right.
Money Than God's like my favorite, but everybody's the favorite out there. I don't have to explain because you're Expo. I don't have to explain to you what my cupcake means.
I think I get the reference. It's like chewed gum and used merchandise and
chewed chewing gum is in that. Here's the funny thing about Licked Cupcake. I told AI, I said, make a song about innuendo using Licked Cupcake as the innuendo and make a reference to soaking and make another reference to chewing gum and another one to a cracked vase as symbols for losing your virginity. And I did not change one word of that song. I released it exactly the way that Suno wrote it. And it's like, uncanny. It's like, Suno, do you fucking know us? I mean, do you know what we're going through? AI, the AI knows us, man.
It's like divinely inspired, but yeah.
Hey, so we were talking, Kurt, about how you were saying the LDS church and frankly most churches still don't do accessibility right. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with my experience growing up in the LDS church, which, by the way, like most of my family and friends are still in, and I'm sure you have similar experience to one level or another where like it's not like, for me, it's not all, oh, this was terrible or this was great. It was kind of a hodgepodge.
Right.
But, the Latter-day Saints have a sort of unique, shall we say, theology on the war in heaven. I promise this is relevant.
I see where you're going with this. Sorry.
Yeah.
I already get where you're going with this. Fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so oftentimes, even just the, able-bodied among us, as we were youth in the church, we would be told things like, oh, you are like the most elect generation. You aren't merely the captains, And then they'd say things like, they'd talk about people with various disabilities. They'd say things like, oh, well, they were like the most valiant in the pre-existence. And so that's why they're being like rewarded with such an amazingly, transcendent trial so they can grow. So there was this weird... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, you go ahead. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I know exactly. It like people with Down syndrome or something like that. They talk about them like, oh, so they got to come here to Earth and basically get a different experience than the rest of us. It's like they're basically angels, and so they're like forever innocent or something like that. And I'm like, he's sitting right there. It's like you're talking in front of him.
Yep. So, yeah, it's it's all sorts of projections, and it's kind of like two-faced isn't the right word. It's kind of whiplash, because on the one hand, I would go to testimony meetings, and I always had to be the first person to bear my testimony because I was just that kid. I don't know what language is allowed here, but
We swear.
oh, yeah, don't fucking swear. That's like bad for your breeding or something. But
My breeding's fine.
so many things I could say.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it was this weird paradox of, like, on the one hand, oh, you are like the spiritual giant among us, and people would go up and bear their testimonies about how, my trial was like motivation for them, that they're taking their lives for granted or whatever. So I was like put on a pedestal, but then at the same time, you're also like the charity service project, and it was hard growing up in that sort of a system when, like, society in general is telling you, you have to wait for someone to take you somewhere. You have to sort of be the passenger all the time.
Right.
And that just kind of added to it, like amplified it in a way.
Right. So it's like, it's almost like being put on a pedestal. Like, I remember I was like, I've told this story before, that when I was just home from my mission, I started dating a girl, and at first it seemed like things were going really great. And I'm like, oh, I was never going to be one of those guys who got married right when he got home from his mission. But this girl and I were friends, and I'm like, I like it. And so I told her one day, I said, hey, let's, where's this going? Are we gonna, or how, your parents want us to get married. I want to marry you. Where are we going with this thing? And she's like, I just don't know. And I was like, and I could have been so much more sensitive, because she was just barely divorced. Like, her divorce was finalized the day that I got home from my mission. And I was like, now I can look back and realize, gosh, Joe, what an a-hole. But I was young, and I was a kid. And anyways, but I said, I don't think you get it, Christine. I said, I don't think you get that I would put you up on a pedestal every day. You would feel like a queen every day. You'd be like a goddess in my world. And she said, ew. And I said, ew. And she's like, I don't want that. She's like, you think that's what I want? I want to be up on a pedestal? I'm like, no, I mean, like, in a good way. I mean, like, and she's like, I don't want to be held to a standard like that. And I was like, and it took me years to come around on that, to realize that. I'm like, this girl's crazy. Does she not know every woman wants to be put up on a pedestal for the rest of her life? Every woman wants that, And it wasn't until I met Molly, and she's like, I told her that story, and she's like, yeah, no kidding, Joe. Gosh, way to put pressure on a person. I was like,
wow.
I was a child. I had a Mormon boy's perspective, but I kind of feel like it's the same way. It's like, when it seems like such a kind and charitable thing to say, oh, Kurt, he is so blessed because he has this extra challenge that the rest of us don't have. And that's because he's, more special from the rest of us. And he's got, and it's like, it's almost like they're setting up a standard for you to have to live up to.
Yeah.
That's based on your differences, right? I mean, is that the way it felt?
Yeah. And that would be bad enough, but that's only one side of the standard. Because the other one, and so that side of the standard actually is probably best, like my patriarchal blessing. I guess we can like share all our secrets here.
Yeah, great. We do that.
I have some cool gifts that are unique gifts.
Okay.
I have an armor surrounding me, which is strong and impenetrable, and it's not the sort of armor that Heavenly Father gives most of his children. Okay.
Okay.
But I also have telepathy, because I really do. In my patriarchal blessing, it says, I have the ability to feel and to see and to know the hearts of my fellow men.
Oh my gosh.
And
You're like it'd be so much more convenient to be able to see the crosswalk, but okay,
yeah,
whatever.
yep, and that one, yeah, it would.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Um, but then the other side of it is, and there were many experiences like this where, of course, we were at our scout camp and we were doing the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge,
Oh
and
yeah.
everyone was supposed to, build their little lean-to and stay there for the night, which, like, at the time, because I didn't really expect that I could, like, do normal things like that, I didn't. But, like, my leaders came to me that night and were like, "Hey, we're gonna have your buddy just, do this with you, and if the counselors ask, just forget about that part." Like, because they didn't know how to handle it, right? It wasn't. And this is the thing I wish people realized about accessibility and discrimination, is most of it is well meant. Like, and churches are generally full of people who at least mean well, right?
Right.
But I mean, that's debatable depending on how far you go, obviously. But, like,
Right.
at least people who think they mean well. How about that?
Right. So it's kind of like, if I'm catching what you're saying here, it's kind of like, you don't want to, you want to be able to say, look, I really appreciate it, but you don't want to break their hearts and disappoint them because they're feeling so good about themselves, and they're feeling so good about you and feeling so charitable, but you're like inwardly wishing, I really wish I could be treated like I was just like another person, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the opposite of inclusion in a way.
Right.
And so, like, that's what's hard about accessibility, is you have to, like, have space and hold space to accommodate the thing. Like, I'll walk into a place with a cane. My cane is going to be hitting chairs and stuff. Like, if the church has a hymnal or something, I'd want an electronic version. Like, and other disabilities might even have more. They all have their own things, but, like, that's almost the easy part, because the hard part is doing it in a way where it's, God, I'm thinking of what's that called? The Rummy-Umptum? You remember from the Book of Mormon where they build the tower and they're like, "Oh, hey, look at
It's basically a rip-off of the story of the tax collector praying next to the Pharisee in the New Testament, and the Rameumptom. Yeah, basically, yeah. The Rameumptom, for those of you who don't know, it's in the Book of Mormon, is this idea that there was this one community where they built a tower where people could get up and pray in front of the whole community and say, how grateful they were to be made better than other people. And so, it's basically Jesus's parable about the tax collector and the Pharisee. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking through the chat too as you were talking. But yes, it's hard to, like, find the balance, because there can be Pharisees on the left and the right, and atheist Pharisees, and Bible thumping Pharisee, in that context of, like, and maybe they don't even realize that they're doing it in a way that's, like, self-aggrandizing. And then there's people who don't even mean to be making it a big deal, but they're, like, so caught up in the difference, which, like, I love answering questions, right? If anyone has any, whatever. But, like, I'm game for as long as you don't ask me how long I've known sign language. Being kind.
Is that really something you get?
Yes, that is a real thing.
Do those people ask if you knew Helen Keller or like?
Yeah, Thankfully, it's not the most common question, but I've gotten it
I
a
would
few
hope
times.
so. Oh dear gosh. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, it's like, well, at least this is a good topic for us with the Church of Korihor, because Korihor was rendered mute, and so and basically killed for it. So it's like, well, and for what? To silence him. So we can get a little bit more accessibility. So okay, so here's where I am on this, Kurt. You tell
Okay.
me how I'm wrong. I've taken, since I've been an adult, with this idea that it's better to just ask and just say, treat somebody who has differences and just speak plainly to them when you want something, when you need to know how to behave, so that they know, so they can just tell you. It's like clearing the air. It's the same thing with, like, in the LGBTQIA plus community. It's like, hey, can I ask you something? Can I ask you what your pronouns are? I've never asked you. And or something like that. Or it's like, it would be better to just ask than to presume. Is that usually the way, how you feel about it?
Yes. With a couple caveats, like, asking is way better than presuming, but
Right.
along with asking comes, like, whatever answer I give, even if people don't think it is the right one, because, like, there are some counterintuitive things to people who are sighted about being blind. And I actually think what it's taught me the most is, like, this sort of counterintuitive realization that, like, how do I want to put it? If there's really no way to walk a mile in another person's shoes. And if we try by, like, imagining ourselves as the center of that, instead of starting it with curiosity, instead of, like, oh, I have to do something, I have to fix this, but starting it with, like, oh, I don't actually know what this is like. And just like I am baffled by things that sighted people do every day that are just common. Um,
Hmm.
you know, a lot of people are baffled that, like, I took a train trip around the country by myself last year for a month and just went from city to city and whatever. But, like, that's probably as baffling to people in the audience. Totally blind guy, right? What? And it's not like it's a big thing. It's like, this is just a thing I like to do.
Hmm.
But to me, sighted people, the way you can just be driving, have to go on a freeway on-ramp and time it just right to, like, find the right break of traffic to put your car in to the flow.
Mhm.
That to me is just as amazing. And you probably, like, take it for granted as much as I do the things that, because people are pretty adaptable, and I feel like I'm rambling, but
No, you're doing good.
there's lots of different ways to accomplish a thing. And so it's almost like put your empathy in check, like check your empathy to get more empathy, kind of. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but
Check your
because
empathy to get more empathy.
well, so it's like checking the part of you that's like, I know what this feels like. The part of you that is, like, trying to feel the thing the other person is feeling. Because you don't know what was that fucking dumb thing Rumsfeld said? Unknown unknowns.
Right.
you know,
There are
like,
known unknowns. There are unknown unknowns. That of all the knowns, the most dangerous was the unknown unknowns, right?
yeah. And so, like, I'm not saying don't be empathetic, but, like, lead with curiosity a little more than, like that's what I've learned to do anyhow, because I've seen so many people really thinking they're helping. And there are times I need help too, of course. But, just the unintended consequences of people who step in without knowing what's happening. Or a lot of times it's like, okay, if you would have just watched for half a second more, I would have found the thing I was looking for. I would have, gotten to the street corner just fine or whatever. But people, like a cane that has to run into things, is very counterintuitive to like if I am walking down a sidewalk or something,
Mm-hmm.
I like to, have my cane touch the tree, touch the poles, touch the whatever is in front of me, so that because that's how I see,
Mm-hmm.
and then that
Right.
that is hard for a lot of people to just get intuitively.
Ah, you mean that they'll get annoyed, or that they'll get in the way, or what do you mean?
Yeah.
Or
So
that they won't know how to respond?
So I think a lot of people are just imagining it would be so hard for them to do a thing if they were blind.
Okay.
And so they're like, oh, I'm trying. Okay, here's a good example: crossing a street. By the way, somebody in the chat asked if I'm using a program to read this, and I am kind of a tech nerd, so I have I'm using a screen reader on my Chromebook right now, but pretty much all the phones and computers have text to speech and braille options these days. But anyway, so crossing streets, I have to hear the cars on my side going. Either,
Okay.
I don't know if you can see, from in front of me on my left going like that, or
Right. I see.
or sorry, and from behind me like that in America,
Yeah.
or in front of me on my right coming towards me. And I hear those cars. That's how I know, okay, it's my time to go. And those cars also keep me straight. I can just listen to them, and if the crosswalk is on a slant, as long as I'm kind of lining myself up to the traffic. But there's a problem with that, which is I have to be able to hear the cars. And the thing that happens so often is I'll be standing at a street corner waiting for my light to change, and the light changes, but right before the cars go, someone's either in my face yelling at me, or yelling at me from across the street saying, the light's green, you can go, go. And it's they have no clue that because they don't know how I do it, they have no clue that they're actually interfering with that process and putting me in more danger. And I've almost,
So it's almost like if it's not obvious that I need help, don't help, because you might actually be getting in the way.
Yeah, and if someone thinks I do, always asking is good. And I'm, different blind people, different people with whatever disability will probably have their own style and their own things they want help with or not.
Sure.
But yeah, and doing it in such a way that is not I can tell, usually, I think, when people are just wanting to get to know my blindness, or date my blindness, or fuck my blindness, or what,
Okay.
So the balance of being aware and being willing to step in and not afraid to ask, what can I do, without I don't know, turning it into just another service project.
Nobody wants to be made to feel like a notch on their belt, on somebody else's belt. Got it. Gotcha.
I guess depending
Gotcha.
on the context, but yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm speaking in generalities there because honestly, there are some of us who wouldn't mind that. But
Right.
it's got to be a different thing. That's got to be a different thing when it's something when it's related to something like your blindness, where it's like all the time. It's like this is always a persistent part of your life, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that's different. So like you mentioned, for example, like hymnals, things like that. So like
Mhm.
in the church of Korihor, we put all of the lyrics on the screen. So it's like, because we do all of our services online. Maybe it would be good for us to put the lyrics to all the hymns in the description of the video or something like that. Put it somewhere where it's accessible so that people who are blind can be able to listen to it while they sing. Well, I mean, I guess they're hearing the voices in the video
Yeah.
while they sing.
And I didn't bring it in here with me now, but I also have something called a Braille display that
Oh,
I could go get it. It's in the other room and show. Basically what it is it's a bunch of, so Braille is how blind people, not enough blind people, unfortunately, not enough people learn it, but it's like a tactile way of reading many languages. English is just one
sure.
of them.
Mhm.
And so it's almost like think of like a Bluetooth keyboard
Mhm.
and kind of how a lot of sighted people like to have like 3 or 4 different monitors around their room. Maybe one of them has like scores of a game, and one of them has their stocks, and one of them has their porn, one of them has their work, whatever.
Okay, sure.
You know, the Braille display is sort of my version of that because it has a bunch of pins that will pop up to form like the Braille letters of whatever's in focus on the screen, and I can just scroll through and read and write and text that way. So, yes, a written hymnal in like a Word doc or something would be helpful for a lot of people, but with that piece of technology that I'm kind of privileged among the blind world to have, like I could probably do it on the screen, and it's great.
So
Go ahead.
then it reads a screen just like a monitor would. It's like if there's text, then it reads it there. Is that what
Yes,
it's done?
just under my
Okay.
fingers, the pins pop up. Wow, I wasn't prepared. I could go get this. It would take like
Oh no,
okay.
that's okay. I believe you. I get the idea of it. But like if we were to start like broadcast and say, hey, if there are anybody out there who use a Braille display, you could, the lyrics to all of our hymns are in the description of the video. Would that be helpful? I mean,
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, very much.
It's good to know. Good to know. See, we're learning things already. Do you feel like as a person who is not sighted that
Mhm.
that distance, because basically we do home church. Home church killed the church, right? It killed the Mormon church.
Yeah.
It's killed pretty much all church, which is like, and we were started this way, and we're pretty much mainly going to stay like this. Is it better or worse to be, to attend church when you are differently abled from home?
That probably depends on the person.
Mhm.
I mean, it's more convenient. Like, it's like for the same reasons it is for everyone who doesn't have to go in a
Right.
car or whatever.
Right.
So in that way, where my ADHD means I lose track of time, and I, if I was gonna
Right.
walk somewhere or meet a ride somewhere or whatever, like the logistics are a bit easier, but I also like the in-person thing. So if there was ever a chance, seeing where this goes, like
Right.
once in a while, but
Yeah.
I'm someone who loves going to new places, loves, when I have enough money saved up, just going to a new city that I've never been to before, taking a weekend or a few days, and getting to know the
Right.
bars, getting to know the sites, kind of getting a lay of the land. So I like in person, but I also really, there are plenty of people who, like, blindness doesn't limit my mobility as much as other things will limit things for other people. And, this way, like, we all know the advantages. We've all been doing Zoom for God knows how long now.
Right. 4 years, really. So let me ask you this, Kurt. I just changed the background picture on the screen that you and I are talking on to a woman
Uh-huh.
wearing a stole, and or we call it the Korihor stole, and
Awesome.
holding candles. Yeah, you like that? And it's a linen stole. It's a natural bright color. And then the heralds, so the order that I'm in, we wear a charcoal colored one, and then there's a violet colored one for the directors. So it's like different orders have different colors for the stoles. And but this is an idea that we have been brainstorming with the directors and some of our trusted friends lately, is doing a candlelight vigil type of thing, but instead of like a vigil like to honor somebody or something like that, it's a light of reason kind of festival that we can get people together in the cold, even when it's cold, and like huddle together for warmth with candles and keep each other warm, and it's like
Yeah.
symbolic. And so we've been thinking about doing something like that because we don't have to have a church to do that. We can get together at a park. I would love to be able to go to do it out in front of the Salt Lake City Temple, or out in front of the great and spacious building.
That would be
And
awesome.
wouldn't that be great? So, but one of the things is that, like, we've been talking about also like ordaining people as rhapsodists, we're calling them. Maybe we call them something else. But basically, they're going to be musicians who play guitar or something and sing. Because, like, obviously, music is a big part of Korihorism, which I'm happy
Yeah.
to say. And but I said, we're having trouble finding people. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do instead. We can get these battery operated projectors that have a speaker built into them. And all of our music, all of our songs, like the one that I sent you, that's actually a video that has the lyrics playing on the screen. I don't know if you're able to know that, but
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah.
And
I've made
so,
many a song with Suno, so yeah.
okay. Yeah, so well, ours, I actually do our own version of them because Suno often gets the lyrics wrong, which is a strange irony.
That is
And
pretty funny.
right. And so it's like, okay, it's like you AI, you're pretty clever, but you're not that smart. You can't make a video. I still can. You don't make
Yeah.
videos right. I'm still
Yeah,
better at
stay
that.
in your lane, robot.
Right. So then but I was thinking, it would be great to go like get together, have a great event where people can be in person. It would be lovely to go and be able to sing songs like More Money Than God out in front of the great and spacious building in Salt Lake.
That sounds
But
really fun.
yeah. But do you feel like more people who are differently abled, especially when it comes to questions of mobility and being sighted, being able to get to, or not being sighted, to get to and from events, but that the community, because maybe it gets a little bit lonely to not see people, forgive me, to
No,
not
go
be
for it.
present with somebody, not to be to feel the warmth of other people and be in in a physical place and community. Doesn't that seem like is it better or worse?
So, like, for me, it's better
Okay.
most of the time, except
Mhm.
for, like, I get more out of it.
Mhm.
However, there's like, it's like, I also have to put more in, so
Uh,
like, I always get more out of in-person well, usually,
mhm.
if it's like a group with a good vibe like this.
Mhm.
but like getting out a lot of what I can get out of from like these kind of things, virtual church like that is still a lot, and there are days where it's like that's all I would be able to do.
Sure.
So just different trade-offs. I like a good mix, but like I think I'd understand why you'd want most of them to be online.
Right. Well, we don't have buildings.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the real thing, Kurt, is that we don't have any fucking buildings. Otherwise, we'd probably do a lot more. And right now, the Mormon Church is selling their buildings, so we're looking to buy some of them and turn
that
them
would
into
be
libraries.
awesome.
Yeah, and so we can't turn them into homeless shelters because that's they have zoning laws against that.
Yeah, of
But
course they do.
and then I don't know if you got in time to see this, but yesterday I went to Salt Lake, and I showed a video earlier this evening. Yesterday I went to Salt Lake, and I took donated blankets to the unhoused who are up in Salt Lake who couldn't get into the warming center last night. And those warming centers, what they do is they play movie night all night in the sanctuary. They project Hollywood movies in the sanctuary of St. Mark's Cathedral so that they can take the unhoused in off the streets, because otherwise they're not allowed to do it some
Wow.
nights. Right? And so it's like these are our Christian neighbors. Meanwhile, the Mormon Church literally has buildings in Salt Lake they're trying to sell, and they're just sitting there empty. And it's like you could just open your doors in an empty freaking building. And so we've talked about that, these buildings, these Mormon church houses, they'd make great Korihor worship centers and 24-hour libraries, so people can come in any time of the day or night and sit down with a good book in a nice temperature-controlled reading nook somewhere in the building. And maybe we'd have braille works and screens and things like that, so that because of course there are unhoused people who are blind, right? I mean, there are and that's something you would expect to find at a library, right? So
yeah,
I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, but that's kind of what we've been talking about. We're going to raise money and we're going to buy one of these Mormon church houses. We'll see if we can get it done.
I could donate an old Braille Book of Mormon because
You're not using it, Kurt? You're not using your Braille Book of Mormon?
Well, I ran out of toilet paper last week. And, actually, I don't know. I kind of like some of those stories, but
like Korihor?
Yeah, like Korihor and who's the other one? The evil lawyer.
Zeezrom?
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah. Zeezrom and Nehor and all those guys.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's always interesting to me how many characters have names that end in "hor" in the Book of Mormon. And I'm just like, this is Joseph Smith's conscience trying to get out right now. And it's like his conscience is Korihor, and he's furious at the guy. So it's like his name is Korihor.
Nehor, that's interesting.
Yep, that's another one.
Does he have some kind of fetish with a knee? I don't know.
Hey, listen. I just got to call you out, Kurt. Don't yuck Nehor's yum. Don't yuck his yum, man. Everybody's got their thing.
You sure do.
You meet people who've got a thing. Everybody's got a thing.
Oh yeah, we all certainly do. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so the tricky thing about like Braille, going back to what you were saying, is that's a great idea, and like I might even have some old books I could donate.
Cool.
But there are constraints with Braille. Like when I was little, and someone donated us the Old and New Testament and Book of Mormon. And if we're doing it in hard copy Braille, that took up, 3 walls of my basement up to about
wow.
like 3 or 4 feet high, just shelves
Good
after
Lord.
shelves. And,
Right.
I could go to church with like, Second Nephi, the Isaiah chapters to like Jacob something.
Mm,
That's why the electronic Braille, and it costs a lot of money to have that kind of little Braille display like I do. But the people who read a lot of Braille mostly just do that now because like there's no way to. I mean, Lord of the Rings would like take up a whole suitcase if you could even fit it in there.
sure. Oh, I can imagine. I mean, those books are huge, even if you're sighted.
Yeah, the poor trees.
So is there a brand that's better for these? Like I'm looking right now. I hate to say this, but I have an extra tab open right now. I'm looking at like Humanware, Braille Note, Orbit Reader, and they're pretty spendy. But I mean, it seems like to me like it's a worthy investment.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're pretty spendy, and the bulk of them are bought on government contracts. Like
Oh,
they literally call it rehab. They call it vocational rehabilitation, but they always just say like, oh, you got to go meet your rehab counselor.
oh,
And there's good and bad about that. It's obviously like a cost prohibitive thing for a lot of people. But crony capitalism, man. Like
right. But if you went to a library, like a public library, would you expect
yeah.
there to have one or two of those like on hand, or is that not normal?
So they probably wouldn't. The library for the blind up in Salt Lake probably would.
Well, I would
Public
hope.
libraries, they'll have their audiobook catalog and be linked to like some online app if
Okay.
if the blind person in question is tech savvy enough. And the reason I say that is actually most blind people in the States and I think in the world probably are senior citizens, who are just losing their sight or just lost
Oh,
all
cool.
or some of
Interesting.
it. And so
Yes.
so then you have this other problem where, okay, you can make the technology very accessible, and you can make the systems work, but the people who have spent 70 plus years in some other thing and then have to all of a sudden switch over. Like I don't know. I kind of say accommodation has to be very individual because, like I would have the Braille display I use, by the way, is called a Q Braille.
Okay.
And that's the one I bring around everywhere. Because I'm an Android guy and that one works best with the Android phones.
Okay.
But yeah, so a lot of people would have, I mean, if you could ever have the money, it would be good to have those around, obviously, but I haven't really seen them in public libraries much.
Okay. It's good to know. I mean, that's a good thought. I mean, because here's the thing: is that like
Way too long to say that.
no, no, that's fine. I was thinking about it because like it's almost like sometimes I think like my son has autism, my pre-verbal boy, and he has a castle that is his sensory room, and mounted on the wall, I put an iPad in there, and it's amazing because he can get to everything. I'm like, it's almost sometimes like instead of stocking, I mean, I of course would want to stock a library with books, but it's almost like if every reading nook had a screen, had like an iPad that was like built into it, it would almost be better because of course books on iPad don't wear out, and and so it's almost like it would make sense to have like a reading nook that has one of those digital, that has like a screen built into it, so it's easy and accessible to use. Would that be something that seems to
Absolutely.
make sense.
Absolutely. And so most blind people, like the ones who read a lot of Braille, love reading a lot of Braille.
Mm.
But there's really cool things about audio. And pretty much any iPad, any Android tablet, any Android phone, well, most Android phones,
Mm.
you know, you can turn on the screen reader just right on there. And,
Mm.
So like, because I was born blind, I was born totally blind, which is like super, the minority of the minority of the minority, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
I was very lucky that growing up, I learned Braille, and that growing up, people gave me computers with screen readers on them, so that like when I was young, that was like how I started reading and how I started. I don't think most blind people are that lucky.
Yeah.
So the audio is probably a safer bet.
Okay. But then
for,
even
like,
then,
wide availability.
but I would imagine, yeah, because that's curious. Because like, of course, you have tablets and phones that are out there that people, I would imagine that blind people mainly just turn on the voice interactive. What do you call that? The like voice
screen reader?
commands. Yeah.
It's like the
And
technical term.
Okay, great. See, that's why we ask, right? So you know, so I know. But
Yeah.
so okay, so you're saying that if there is like a tablet inside of like a reading nook or a reading space, that is somewhat blind accessible to people who are blind, because they can use those services. You wouldn't necessarily have to have like a Braille interface instead, or in connection to.
You would just have to, on an iPad or iPhone, it's called VoiceOver. On Android, it's called TalkBack. And, you can turn them on with the voice assistant trigger words I don't really want to say.
Yeah.
Or
with Lady S and Lady A and Mr. G
Mr.
or whatever.
G-Man. Mr. G-Man. Like,
Mr. B.
so that, and iPads are probably, at least here in America, more blind people use iPhones than Android. It's kind of because they got to the blind accessibility game first.
Right.
And they're both good at a little different things, but like, if you have iPads in there, especially, like, odds are a blind person will know how to handle that.
Okay, iPads are better than Androids. That's good to know.
Yeah,
and iOS devices are better.
I mean, like, I like the Android better because I'm like a techie person, but
right,
most of the people have learned how to do it on iPhones and iPads, and
that's great.
It's
useful information to have.
And it's so nice that, so like growing up from, like age 10 and basically on, for me, like the computer, the screen reader I used on Windows, it was called JAWS, and you would have to pay like $700 a month, or a year. No, $700 a year, right?
Either way, that's like expensive.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
To download. Yep. That's why the government's involved. And so now, like, there are free options, and that one screen reader has a much more affordable $90 a year subscription. But the fact that on these phones and Chromebooks and like pretty much everything now, there's like an out of the box screen reader you can turn on without having to download something, without having to, make someone else do it. That's like been a game changer for blind people in the last like 10 years.
Wow.
To
That's
not
good
have to
know.
buy something extra, to just go buy your iPhone or buy your Pixel or whatever.
Just like everybody else. That's cool. That's a great thing, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Kurt, we usually try to get things wrapped up by an hour, and we're at an hour and a half here. But
Well,
I
thanks
am
for letting me
grateful.
come late.
Letting you, gosh, man, you really gave me an education here, because like we just learned so much useful information. I would love for the Church of Korihor to be the most accessible church in the world, man. That'd be a good goal for us. It's like, yeah, well, that'll be, not just a good way to to brag to the God churches that they suck and we're better. That's not what I mean, but that we can maybe reach out to people who are being spiritually neglected. So I don't know what your walk with God or non-walk with God is these days, Kurt. You're welcome to share or not share. But,
Go ahead.
we're basically atheists and agnostics here at the Church of Korihor. We're a bunch of godless folk, and we're the most spiritually neglected community in the world, I think. So, but I feel like people who are differently abled, including people who have mobility problems, or mobility difficulties, challenges, and the people who are blind, they may be just as neglected spiritually, I feel.
Yeah, either neglected or like over stifled or something. Could be both. Could be, it's kind
Sure.
of the same thing in a weird way. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I definitely think it could be done. I definitely think as far as, gosh, me and my concept of God, I always like would pedantically tell people like, oh, I'm an agnostic atheist. I'm like a 5 or 6 on the Dawkins scale. But like,
Right.
then some things happened. I discovered the Divine Assembly and their sacraments and various related sacraments, and
Cool.
not. I'm definitely agnostic and I'm definitely atheist when it comes to like personal, God is like our heavenly father, or God is our Allah, or it's like some person or some figure you can identify with, and there might not even be one. But I find enough things just peculiar and like absolutely baffling that, on the one hand, maybe, okay, it's God of the gaps, but like, how did everything even start? And I'm not saying that's like an intelligence, but I don't know what's happening, and I'm not like totally close to that possibility, but
Right.
I'm also pretty skeptical. And I guess what's changed for me the last few years is I'm more interested in like, okay, I'm never going to know the answer to these questions. Like, do we die? Obviously the brain dies, and there's a very compelling case that that's just it. But like,
Yeah.
it's the unknown unknowns, like what
Right.
what could I be missing that I don't even know to look for? So I try not to make any like definitive statements on what I believe about that, because it kind of flops back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go, friends. Everything is Donald Rumsfeld, according to our good friend Kurt Manwaring.
Yeah. I don't know if we have enough beer for that. Jesus Christ.
Hey, listen, guys, we're going to have to wrap up. I want to thank Kurt Manwaring for being here and for educating me on how we can be more accessible. Kurt, this was really good for me.
It was
so
really fun. Thanks for having me.
So after I take Kurt down here in a second, we're gonna go ahead and play him a hymn. Kurt, why don't you pick a hymn? So we've got that you haven't heard yet. We have "Lick My Cupcake," "O Korihor," or "We're Going Home." Or we have, let's see, Virtue Signal or Unholy. I don't know if you heard Unholy. Those are your options. I can repeat them if you want.
I want to hear Lick the Cupcake. Or
Of
Don't
course
Lick the
you do.
Cupcake. Of course I do.
We're going to close out, you guys, with Lick My Cupcake. And I want to thank again Kurt Manwaring for being part of our broadcast and for educating me today. Thank you again, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Cheers.
And cheers, sir. I'm going to go ahead and drop him down now. All right, friends, it's been a great service. I hope that you guys remember you have those videos down in the description of this broadcast. Your URLs, share them, please. Be generous and share them with the whole world. I haven't posted the "We're Going Home" video yet for everybody to share because there's still a couple of shots I have to work on it in there. But let's go ahead and share with our friend Kurt and everybody join in to sing and intone as a congregation. Lick my cupcake. Oh, that's in downloads. Let me go over to Korihor. Lick my cupcake lyrics video. And remember, all these videos, all of our hymns now are officially uploaded except for the new wedding hymns. I'm going to have those on Sunday. We have wedding hymns now, you guys, and they're a riot. All right. So this one's all of these are available in the shorts section of our YouTube page. And now we'll close out with Lick My Cupcake.
Gum stuck to my shoe, heavy petting in the neon hue, cracked vase on the kitchen floor. I get what I want, then I want more. Soaking in the bathtub fizz, the way you look at me is a quiz. Hair teased high like a wild storm. In your arms I feel so warm. Lick my cupcake, sweet sensation. It's a sugar-coated invitation. Don't you know it's such a sin when you don't dig in? Ripped tights and a leather jacket. Got a secret, can you hack it? Lights blur as we drive fast. Make this moment last and last. Pink lipstick on your collar screen. We make a pretty reckless team. 80s music in the air. Nobody else can compare. Lick my cupcake, sweet sensation. It's a sugar-coated invitation. Don't you know it's such a sin when you don't dig in?